the very beginning, I believe in like mirror and matching people. So like if somebody's like, hello, I'll be like, hello. If somebody's like, hi, I'll be like, hi. If somebody's like, hello, I'll be like, hello. Like, so at the very beginning, and it's so funny because like you'll hear people in the university sometimes be like, or somebody like, hello, be like, hello, hello, hello. You'll hear people be like, hey, Johnny, is that you? Like they'll think I'm like some sort of relative, or they think that I'm some sort of like family member because I sound like them. So like if you look at a group of people, like let's say you ever notice that like you talk to a group of friends or you meet a group of friends, sometimes they all dress very similar, sometimes they all use very similar language, or sometimes they all use like very similar accents basically. You ever notice that?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Why? Because people like hanging around people who are like them, and they feel comfortable with people like them. So I think the introduction too is more than just like, okay, like what are Aaron and I saying? It's like paying attention to like rate of speed, tonality, paying attention to like mirror and matching. And it's also a combination of what to say as well too. So I just wanted to bring that up to your guys' attention because I have a feeling it's not just like, okay, what do I say? It's more or less like, okay, like am I mirror matching a little bit? Like, am I speaking too fast? Do I have too much excitement, when somebody's kind of down, or am I too down, or am I speaking too fast? So it's a combination of all those different gears, and it's about combining all of those different things to make the introduction better.
So I have a follow-up question on that,
Yeah.
specifically with the stages of the conversation, like you were talking about earlier, and knowing we need to work on most. I think right now, for me, and I think a lot of us in the chat, we don't know what the benchmark should be when we've got that part of the conversation on lock. So I was just wondering, like, what would the introduction rate look like if we're actually like good at that? That way we know it's like it's not really a matter of a numbers game at that point, but more like you're just bad at that part of the conversation and you need to level up the skill set.
So what do you think the benchmark is for the introduction?
Honestly, I was doing expireds the other day and I couldn't get
Uh-huh.
a single one. I had 8 contacts, I couldn't get a single one past introduction.
So what do you think the benchmark would be
Stay on the
Uh,
phone.
if you're succeeding at the introduction?
Stay on the phone.
Maybe like 5, 10%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a good benchmark. Like, okay, like, are you getting past the introduction, and are you getting people to stay on the phone, and are you getting people to basically open up to you?
Yeah, and I think a really good way to, because like what you really all do is like, so Jose's giving you like, hey, here's how to measure. So if you don't have a coach or a guide in your life and you're just like stabbing in the dark and you're like, well, how do I even know if I'm good at this or not? Well, what results are you getting? We've been on calls with people and you guys have been on some of those calls. They're like, yeah, I think I'm just as good as you. I'm like, well, your results don't reflect that, bro. You know what I mean? There's like a disconnect, you know what I'm saying? So, but there's also, so that's one component of it, but a really good benchmark is to find somebody who's consistently produced the outcome you wish to produce, which would be setting lots of appointments. Listen to them do it and copy them, rip off and duplicate. So Jose, when I first started teaching him, like kind of working with him and kind of role playing with him, he went on 100 listing appointments and only took 20 listings. So he had a lag, like his lag measure was something was wrong. So then what he would do is he found me. He was like, yo, who's actually doing this in high volume? And at the time I was doing like 100 plus deals a year. And he heard me role play, like somebody recorded it. And then he pestered me and reached out to me until he got, for like, I don't know, 6 to 9 months to get into my role play schedule. And I kept pushing him away, whatever. And then I was like, all right, fine, let's do it. But then he would show up to those calls, bro. He would type out what I was saying. He would record it. You see what I mean? Like find somebody who has a demonstrated track record over an extended period of time of setting appointments in high volume and listen to them. That's the benchmark. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'll just make my benchmark by copying you guys. So would you say like the university, the Jose Morales University, as well as the, expired, the
Yeah.
course that you have and the
Yeah.
recording?
Are you partnered with us yet?
Yeah, I'm in elite builders.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. So then here's the deal. You get access to my course library. So you get access to the 7 skills bundle where I walk you through like the listing presentation that I use to list over 100 homes a year for 10 years in a row, how to talk to an expires. Bro, I did 100 expires in a year. And I did 100 deals in a year and 75 were expireds. So like
Okay.
that course for free. You get the pre-qual course, like all that stuff. Plus you get Morales University. So what I would do, here's what I would do to ramp up the learning curve. Take advantage of all of the value stack. So my online course library, Jose's, Morales University. Keep coming to these calls and make sure that you're role playing daily, like probably twice a day, because then you'll be able to apply what it is that you're learning and recognize as you go through that phase, you'll probably be frustrated. Not probably, you will be. But remember that frustration is a precursor for learning. It's actually how you get better. And if you stick to that schedule that I just provided you of like watching videos, of like, hopping on calls like this, role playing twice a day, you do that for 12 months, bro, you'll be a different human. I promise you.
The good news for you is that in the university, you'll hear live calls with real life prospects. And you'll hear like at the very beginning how people will say like some like, hey, I'm not interested in selling. And then they're about to hang up. And then I'm like, what if I had a cash buyer? Is that something that you'd be open to? And then all of a sudden that keeps them on the phone. And then I'm able to have a 10 to 15 to 20-minute conversation with them. So the good news for you is that you'll have the university. What I would also recommend, along with Aaron's stuff, is listening in to those calls, because you'll see like this in real action. You'll see like, okay, the mirror matching at the very beginning. You'll see the what say in the introduction, and then you'll see how I handle when people are like about to hang up, and then how I keep them on the phone longer. You'll even hear things like, I'll say something like, last question. And then I'll say that like 3 or 4 times sometimes. And they'll be like, Jose, like, I thought you said the last one was the last one, But I'm able to keep them on the phone for like an extra, like whatever, how long it takes to get that appointment as well, too. So I would say for Luis and for everyone else, just if you're noticing that you're getting hung up on in the introduction, that's what I would be practicing on and getting feedback on until you're able to get further along the conversation. So I would even go on role plays and be like, hey, look, I just want to practice my introduction. And I would just start practicing that 30 seconds, 45-second, 1-minute mark, a mirror matching, tonality, what to say. And then once you get past that, then moving on to the next section as well, too.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I would say like my practice time has been inefficient. Like I haven't been basically trying to copy you guys. I think I gotta work on that, and like specifically the tonality of it, making sure it sounds right, not just like I'm saying the right words.
Yeah, and again, remember, brother, like that, it just takes time. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly before we can learn to do it well. I think what's very difficult. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Yeah, that's why, bro. But what's very difficult is you've grown up in kind of a society and an environment in which everything happens instantaneously. So whenever we're approached with something like, yeah, dude, I made 10 phone calls, nobody picked up. I'm like, uh-huh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's gonna happen. You're gonna suck at first. Like that's how it's gonna work. And that it takes an extended period of time to get good. Like I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing until 5 years into the game. I'm doing like 100 deals. I'm like, all right, I kind of know what I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying? So like just keep in mind, like elongate time horizons. But I promise you in the end, long term, it's worth the acquisition of the skill, because in a capitalistic society, if you know how to sell, you get disproportionately rewarded for your efforts.
Yeah, I keep like telling myself, 100 calls, 100 rejections, but still going, getting better. Eventually getting to where I want to go.
Yeah, and like keep in mind like this, like you mentioned, like yeah, I haven't been copying you guys, and the first thing that popped into my head was like, why not? like imagine if like I don't know who's a sports star that you really like look up to or think is great.
I just swim, so Caleb Dressel.
Okay, so let's say Caleb hands you a blueprint on how to get fantastic at what he does. Would you be like, nah, dude, I'm not going to copy that?
Yeah, that's definitely silly. I think my thought process there was these guys are too high level. And so I wouldn't understand like the nuances behind what they're doing.
Yeah, I get all that. At the same time, though, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if Caleb offered to coach you, would you be like, yo, you're too high level for me?
No.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's an error in judgment. It's like it's faulty.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I also think, Aaron, it's like what this makes me think of is like, okay, like, so for example, like we recognize with Luis that the introduction was the part that he needs the most help with. We also recognize right here that it's probably the introduction. I'll give you guys another example, and this is where sometimes it helps to be able to point somebody out. One of my agents came to me and he's like, look, I have been making phone calls and I noticed that my answer rate went down. And he was getting frustrated. I'm like, okay, well, like if your answer rate went down, what do you think could be causing that? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, bro, you got to understand the systems that you're using. So, for example, if he was using Mojo, it's like, could it be that your phone number got all of a sudden flagged as spam?
Yep.
And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, he's like, it's a whitelisted number. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. I'm like, all of a sudden something happened. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So being aware, like, okay, like my call rate dropped, and then being like, okay, what would cause my my answer rate to drop, and then go over a couple different things and be like, oh, have I tested for this? Have I tested for that? And have I tested for that? I'm pretty confident that after he went back, it was very likely that his phone got flagged. He switched up the phone, and all of a sudden his answer rate went up again. Even like when I lose a listing appointment nowadays, I'll reflect back on it. I'll be like, okay, like what could I have done better? I'll ask the seller for feedback. I'll be like, hey, look, is there anything that I could have done better? And they'll give me feedback. And sometimes it's not what I want to hear, but it's what I need to hear. So this constant like self-reflection, and also like going back to people, like even clients, like, hey, look, what could I have done better? You know, and be like, okay, like making adjustments. And that's all we've done over time is just adjusting. Every time I've lost a listing appointment, it's like, okay, what could I learn from this? You know? Or every time like a cold call didn't, what could I learn from? What do I need to work on to get better?
Yep, I love that, man. So make sure that you also keep in mind like the tools that you're using. Make sure they're the best tools. I'm noticing our time. We appreciate you guys. Yo, we look forward to spending some time with you guys. Be great. Peace.